our questions, or record the interviews. So, Coach, how are you today?
Very good, thank you.
All right, we'll go ahead and then we'll wait till Derek starts moving the computer around. So, there we go.
There we go.
You're very centered now.
Did you remember to
I did.
unpause?
Thank you for reminding me.
Told you I'd
All
help
right,
you.
doing that. I think we've got everybody logged in to record. And Coach, I don't know, maybe you can talk a little bit now that you've had a little bit of chance to think back about what happened 24 hours ago or close to that, and what you've done now and get ready for tomorrow in Loyola.
Yeah, the game was, I thought very matter of fact. I thought our guys handled it in the right way. I thought we had a little jitters, which to be expected early, and then I thought we really had dug in defensively. Everything starts with Trent, on the ball and holding that team, who's very, very good and been on a great run offensively, holding them to 21 points, I think, or whatever it was at half, was really good. And then we got out and started running. The only thing I wasn't pleased with first half was our rebounding. We gave Big Kid 4 offensive rebounds, but then we settled in. We really were good in transition. We didn't have to go real deep into the playbook. But as we move forward, obviously getting Loyola, you're talking about one of the outstanding defensive teams in the country, and their numbers bear that out. It's a team with age, experience, starting with Williamson and Krowig. Both those guys have seen a lot and been through a lot, and been very impressed with Norris at the point. So this is a team that very, very well coached. Porter's done a great job, and we'll have to earn every basket.
Okay, we'll start off with Rob McCauley, Paul Banks on deck, Derek Piper in the hole. Go ahead, Rob.
Brad, would you give your own historical perspective about the Loyola program from the early 60s to the Alfrederick Hughes period, when I guess you were playing as well?
Say that again. It broke up. I didn't hear all that, Rob.
Your personal perspective historically about the early 60s Loyola to the Alfrederick Hughes period to them joining the MVC.
No, I mean, it's been a program that's had great tradition. I know we played them when I was at Kansas State. We had a home and home with them. I remember Alfrederick Hughes and what a talent he was, one of the leading scorers in the country. And you go back, and I mean, it's in an unbelievable state where basketball is really important. And in the state of Illinois, basketball is important, and it's got a steep tradition and rich history, and something they can be very proud of. Porter's done a great job of resurrecting it, and 4 or 5 straight 20-win seasons, and that's speaks volumes to a program that has had tremendous success in the past, and shows it can be done.
Thank you.
Okay, Paul, you're up. Derek Piper on deck.
Hi, Brad. The last time we did this before a game, you mentioned something about how in recruiting, the first year is basically kind of filling scholarships and kind of filling out the roster. And then the second year is when you really start, recruiting, quote. So looking at that perspective, what is kind of the usual timeline in terms of really putting your stamp on a program and then really kind of making it your program and not your predecessor's program?
Well, I think you want to see, and every program is different. I think that, based on what you have returning, based on the number of guys that are back, every situation, I had 7 new guys when I got the job at Stephen F. I only had a couple when I got the job at Oklahoma State, and I had a lot of guys back. So I think it varies from program to program. We've had a good amount of turnover. So that means youth, and that means inexperience. And, so I don't put a timetable on those things. I do know, and they vary from league to league. In the Big Ten, it becomes a very old league. historically, year in and year out, the teams are older and more mature. So I never put a timetable on it. I think it varies, and that's why I don't. I just think there's a tremendous amount of growth that has to happen, and you have to do it the right way with a great foundation, and I hope we've done that.
Thanks, Brad.
Okay, Derek Piper, you're up. Joey Wagner on deck.
Hey, Coach, you have two teams that are top 5 in the country defensive efficiency rating. What do you see from them? And when you have two sides that are that good on those ends of the floor, do you emphasize anything differently as a coach?
No, I think we've seen a good amount of teams that have been, top 10 defensively, in the Big Ten in terms of the numbers. I think it's a matter of execution. It's a matter that they don't make mistakes. They're very handsy. They've got great hands. They do a great job in their ball screen coverages of protecting Krutwig. They do a great job of playing with high hands. And I refer back a lot to the Ohio game, who did the same thing. So they make passing difficult at times to do that because of their hands. So they're well schooled and they just don't make a lot of mistakes. And then you combine that with their tempo and offense, and that's how you get a team that doesn't give up a lot of points.
I know you're coming off of practice. What was that able to look like for you guys today in the lead up, and where were you able to do that?
It was good. I mean, our guys are focused and it was positive. So, it's the way it should be this time of year.
Thanks.
Coach, where was your practice this morning?
Convention Center.
Okay. Joey Wagner, you're up. Shannon Ryan on deck.
Hey, Brad, big picture here. I mean, there's two in-state teams, both ranked in the AP, both highly ranked in Ken Pom, with the chance to go to the Sweet 16. Broadly, what does this mean for the state of Illinois in basketball?
I don't know if I've thought about that. I think that it's very easy to get wrapped up into storylines. I don't. I have to look at it from the basketball perspective of, next game. I think it's great for our state. I think it speaks volumes to their program and the job Porter's done. I'm excited to be back in the tournament for our program and where I think it should be. So, beyond that, I'm looking at their personnel, and if they were someplace else, I guess I haven't given a bad answer, Joe. I probably haven't thought enough about that, but it can't be anything but great for the state.
You've talked about how IO is made for the NCAA tournament. Can you walk us through, how did you read him yesterday and the hours leading up to the game? I mean, was there anything different about him?
Yeah, he's pretty focused. He was pretty focused. I don't think there's anything different. I think IO handles himself in a very matter-of-fact manner, very professionally, very serious. And then he just let the game come to him yesterday. And it's when you're really good, the game finds you. You don't have to go searching for it. And he picked his spots great. He was terrific on the glass. I think he had 7 rebounds at half. So IO finds a lot of ways to contribute.
Thank you, Brad.
Okay, Shannon, you're up. David Woods on deck.
Okay, thanks, Ken. Hi, Brad. I'm going to try to force you to answer more of Joey's question, unfortunately.
Good luck.
I know you set it up that that's not going to work to my advantage, but I'm going to try. This is the first year since 2007 that there's been more than 2 teams from the state of Illinois. And from 2002 to 2007, there was at least 2, sometimes 3 teams. So maybe, you were at Western Illinois for part of that. I'm just wondering, do you remember just kind of like this different era than what we've had the last decade or so of basketball in the state, as far as like the competitiveness or teams, all these teams in the tournament? Like, what was that like?
Well, and again, I think it speaks volumes to the youth basketball, to the high school basketball coaches, to it goes beyond the universities. I think one of the things that is really, really hard to do, and the Missouri Valley is a very good league. The Ohio Valley, whatever league you're in, the Summit, it's really hard to win your league. It's really hard to win your tournament. And sometimes I think too much we had really good teams at Western when I was there, and we could never get by Valpo. And it's so hard and so challenging. You got to have a little bit of luck. I think anytime you get multiple teams in, and that, especially at the high level, the playing leagues where there's not at large, it's not easy to do. And that doesn't mean there's bad teams. It means that's really hard to do. So for us to be that fortunate in this state, which I think is the best state in the country for youth basketball and high school basketball, and the universities benefit from that. I think it's cyclical a little bit. So we went through a little bit of a downturn. Now we're on a good one. And I think there's a lot of great programs and a lot of great coaches at the university level. But it's really hard to do, Shannon. It's really hard to win and get to postseason play.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like, you guys have reached this different level that seems like it's sustainable. Loyola's got this sustainable program going now. I mean, does it feel like a corner's been, you mentioned it's cyclical, but is there a corner being turned in a way for some of these programs?
Yeah, I hope so. I sure hope so. I think it takes a lot of people to find success. And you look at what Loyola's done with their facilities over the years. You look at what we're doing. You've got to have administrative support at the highest level. So I think it's one of those situations that things have fallen into place at Loyola. They have here. So we're very fortunate, and again, I think it's really hard to do. It's really hard to win, no matter what level you're at, and make postseason play.
Okay, thanks. I knew you'd have a good answer after all.
All right, David, you're up. Matt Rendazzo on deck.
Yes, Coach. Krugvig is a bit of an unusual center. What kind of issues does he pose for Kofi in particular, and your team in general?
No, he's a point center. I mean, he's a unique guy that they run offense through. He's got he might have one of the best floaters in college basketball. At 6'9", 260 or whatever he weighs. I mean, that thing's a teardrop, and he's terrific. He's an excellent passer. He sees the game at a pace that is very slow, and he sees things ahead from that standpoint. But he's a very capable scorer. So I'm a big fan. I think he's terrific, and I think he's the head of the snake for them. And they've got a great plan around him, because they've got shooters and guys who cut, and he does a good job of finding them.
David, you have a follow-up? No. Matt, you're up, and Scott Ritchie on deck.
Coach, I know you guys were busy taking care of business yesterday, but probably not a lot of basketball watched by you. But the Big Ten had 3 teams struggle and go down. Does that surprise you? And obviously the Big Ten was and is highly thought of. Is that examples you show your team of if you guys don't come ready to play, or is it March Madness in general? Just, I guess, your thoughts on the day for the Big Ten yesterday.
I think it's March Madness. I think it's why we've got it taped on the floor in our media room. In our view, anything can happen. We talk so much about matchups, and it becomes about matchups. And everybody had talked to me about Oral Roberts and their 2 players, and they didn't disappoint. And if you have a night where you don't shoot it, or you miss free throws, or you don't guard as well, then you get beat. And so I think it's the one message we keep telling our players all the time is everybody here is very good, and they're winners. And if you don't play well, you get beat, you go home.
Okay, Scott Ritchie, you're up, and then Nico on deck.
Hey, Brad, I guess as a follow-up to that, I saw some stuff today. It was, Big Ten, maybe battle hardened by, conference play, but is there a point where just the teams beat up on each other for 3 months, and it's not the best way to go into, tournament?
I don't know about that. I think I think it has more to do with matchups. sure, we beat up on each other, and it is a grind, and there's no doubt about that. But that plays itself out over the course of 20 games. But I do think that in a one-game situation, it's this thing becomes about the mental as much as the physical, and you cannot let down, and you have to play well. And not everything goes perfect in this event, and it's why it's madness. It's special. So I don't buy into that as much. I think it's has as much to do with matchups and just figuring it out in that moment.
Right. And I mean, obviously, I don't know Loyola's game plan, but they have the MVC Defensive Player of the Year and Williamson. Just you anticipate him on IO, and kind of what do you think of about what IO needs to do against a guy that's a pretty good defender, obviously.
Yeah, I mean, he'll guard everybody. They do so much switching, in everything that they do, or they have done that previously. But he's good. IO's drawn the best of the best in our league as well. I drew the best of the best against Baylor. So he's I'm not taking anything away from anybody, but IO sees that every night. He's at the top of the scouting report, deservedly so. And I'll pick his spots and he'll have to play well. And Williamson's a terrific defender, and he's got experience, and he's a senior. So give him his props. Anybody who guards like he does, I'm a big fan of.
Hey, Nico, you're up. Doug Bouchon on deck.
Matt pretty much asked my question. I guess just a quick follow-up on that. How much are the results of some other games on your radar? Obviously your focus is right on, your opponent, but, do you hear that Ohio State or how Ohio State gets bounced early, things like that? Does that come to your attention at all?
Yeah, we see it because it's right there in the lobby in our hotel as we have to post our, your name as you move up. But, I saw a little bit of Hugs' 900th win last night, late. And then this morning I get up to look to see who won the other games. You get pretty focused, and we have the TV on in our meeting room. But again, it's more a war room that we're dialed in than watching games.
Okay, Doug, you're up, and then Joey Wagner on a follow-up.
Hi, Coach. Can you tell us a little bit about the life in the bubble, what it's like for the team, and how they're handling it, and what's a typical day like for the team, particularly a day like today on an off day?
Yeah, and today was breakfast. I think we were up at 8:45. 9 o'clock breakfast. We taped right after that. Then we went to film and scouting report. We went to practice at 11:30. Now the guys are strolling back in for a mid-afternoon lunch. We'll have another film session and walk through in our meeting room tonight. In the meantime, they're just kind of when they got some downtime, they're hanging out in their rooms. Or in the meeting room, and then an early night, early to bed, and we'll have a dinner tonight at 7:30 or 8, and close it up with film, and then get our head on a pillow, wake up, and do it again. The bubble has not been bad, and we haven't been outside a ton, but that's okay. We wouldn't anyway, and it's probably affected me and my 6-mile walks more than any of our players, but it's been great. The food's been really good, and the organization's been great, and the people. They have so many people working this. It's been so organized and so well planned that we're right on point with everything.
What's the COVID testing protocols like? And are they the same as what you were doing back in Champaign?
Yeah, very similar. In fact, we go here in 30 minutes. We go at 2:30 today. Those vary from day to day. A lot of times we've had them in the morning before breakfast, but with a lot of tournament games being played here early, the tournament teams have obviously gone first. So we'll go in this afternoon. Yeah, we go in, swab our nose, and spend our, our 30 seconds in there and then we're back out. So, but it's really gone very, very smooth. It's in a little restaurant right here, right across from our meeting room. And it's made pretty convenient.
All right. Thank you, Coach.
All right, Joey, and then a follow-up for Rob. Go ahead, Joey.
Hey, Brad, I just wanted to follow up, just trying to get a feel for Io. Like you say, he's locked in. Is he more talkative, less talkative? Is it his body language? Like, what is it that you see where maybe you look at the other coaches and you'll kind of I would assume universally all know he's kind of on a different level for himself there.
He gets a little more quiet up until the time. A couple hours before, you can tell he's pretty focused. He's pretty quiet. And, then up until, warm-ups, then he'll start chatting guys up a little bit. But he's very matter of fact. He's very into his, into his world and his assignments and what he's got to do. And then he'll go lift others up as the game gets closer.
Thank you.
Okay, Rob, go ahead with a follow-up.
Following Nico's question about advanced scouting, I know 10 years ago it was Gary Nottingham who was the special assistant to Bruce Weber, and maybe you don't do advanced scouting the same way in the tournament as you do in the regular season, or is somebody already working on both teams?
No, yeah, we've got we had Orlando and Jeff handled and Gent and Chen handled Drexel, and then those guys did advance. Each one took one team, and then last night after we knew, then it was diving in, for Gent and Chen, both into those guys' notes and getting ahead. Zach, our video guy, Zach had been as well, pulling a lot of hours and clips. So, when we got ready to show personnel last night, it was all ready to go and done. So yeah, we do a lot. We'll figure out if we win tomorrow, the next two after that. And obviously we'll have, if we're fortunate enough to win, we'll have guys on those games as well.
Thanks.
Okay, Scott Ritchie to follow.
Hey, Brad, I know there's kind of been discussion about the tournament being in one location, and maybe that's something to look at in future years. Just curious kind of what you thought about everybody being in Indy this year.
Well, I think it's the perfect scenario this year. I do. I think the one thing that we you miss out on is by regions, you miss the fans. That could be out west, if you were playing, in San Diego, and you're a top seed, you're going to get those fans that can travel, and that component of it is very nice. There's no doubt about that. But for this year, it's spectacular because I think it was the safest way and the most convenient way to do this tournament.
Before we wrap up, Coach, I look back at yesterday just real quickly. Your impression of the venue, and then again with fans in attendance, of what that may have meant.
Yeah, the venue was tremendous. I didn't know what to expect. I had never been there previously. They did an incredible job in our locker room area. A lot of times when you go into some of these venues, you get, an NBA locker room, or you get, really big and good sized locker rooms. They weren't huge, but they had 2 or 3 rooms available for us. They had them all decorated up. They had the players' nameplates up. Very, they made it feel like they had a practice court in that building so that guys could go shoot before the game, if they wanted to do that. Very well thought out, very well done. And again, it made it feel very special. It made it feel like you were in the NCAA tournament, which is what it should feel like. And it was great having the fans there as well. I mean, obviously, you've got a limited number. I think it was 1,200 yesterday, but they were mostly orange. They were scattered throughout the building, but we definitely heard them. And So I'm excited again because I know the Illini Nation is pretty powerful. So see him tomorrow in Baker's Life.
All right, Coach, that's all the questions in the lineup. So we appreciate your time and enjoy the rest of your day, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you.
Good
All right,
question,
folks.
Kent.
Go ahead. Oh,
Good question, Kent.
every once in a while. Io will be joining us here in just a moment. He's finishing up his lunch, and then Derek will have him at the Zoom spot in just a moment.